Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and thanks for sticking around. I'd like to take a moment to introduce myself for those whom I haven't had the chance to meet over the last 2 days. I'm Joël Yazbek. I'm the regional coordinator of the ICC ESCWA Center of Entrepreneurship for the Arab region. This center is a co-initiative between the ICC, which is the International Chamber of Commerce, that is home for SMEs, companies, and associations in more than 100 countries, as well as the center is a co-initiative with the United Nations Economic and Social Commission for Western Asia. And it is a UN agency that works with governments, specifically policymakers, to advance social and economic change in their countries. Today, with our esteemed speakers, we embark on a journey of inspiration, resilience, and achievements, with our panel discussion focused on entrepreneurs' success stories in the Muslim world. You might be asking, why do we place high importance on success stories? Well, the answer is simple. Success breeds success. And by sharing these stories, we are not only celebrating achievements, but we are also making sure that we are learning from mistakes and failures, and also we are acknowledging that these two are integral chapters of any entrepreneurial journey. Our speakers today play pivotal roles in their entrepreneurial ecosystems of their respective countries and regions, and they serve as key actors driving innovation and growth. So without further ado, let us start the exploration of success stories with our first speaker for today, Datuk Naruddin, the advisor for Ministry of International Trade and Industry and Investment in Sarawak. Good morning, sir. Thanks for being a panelist with us. My question for you is, how do you see international trade playing a pivotal role in developing local entrepreneurship? And if there are any specific initiatives or partnerships that you'd like to highlight, and you feel that these are impactful for the audience to know about. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Ms. Joël Yazbek, our moderator. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Datuk-datuk, members of the panel, participants, ladies and gentlemen. How can entrepreneurs' transition be effectively carried out using Sarawak experience? Business drives the economy, and entrepreneurs are the engine that help drives them. Zooming into Sarawak, Department of Statistics Malaysia has reported, as at 2022, Sarawak has over 83,700 SMEs, small, medium enterprises, and this represents 98% of the total business enterprises in the state. Out of these, 81% are micro enterprises, the informal entrepreneurs, those part-timers, and they may not have any permits. 16.7% small enterprises, and 1.8% medium enterprises. The SMEs are the group that have shown resilience in countering the unprecedented aftermath of pandemic COVID-19. Therefore, the federal and the state government have been and will continue to nurture and support the growth of our SMEs, including the micros, to harness the economic potentials, as they are the key drivers of our socio-economic growth and job creation in the state. Financial assistance to SMEs. The state government, through my ministry, Mintrade, has been and will continue to strengthen this group through various financial programs. Under the 12th Malaysia Plan, a total of 116 million ringgit Malaysia was offered under 6 programs, namely GRA, or Graduates Entrepreneurship Program in terms of grant, USTEF, Vocational and Technical Entrepreneurship Program in terms of grant, you don't have to pay. Go Digital, also grant. Microcredit Sarawak is a simple loan with interest of 2%. Interest subsidy scheme for the Special Relief Fund, SRF, Targeted Relief and Recovery Facilities, TRRF, and Penjana Tourism Financing. All this loan given by the federal government during the COVID time, and the state government subsidized the interest to all of them, where we spend about over 70 million to subsidize the interest of the loan given by federal government during COVID time. And to date, more than 7,300 businesses have benefited from this financial assistance, totaling about 155.67 million ringgit. My ministry recently launched a collaboration between Invest Sarawak, United Nations Global Compact Network for Malaysia and Brunei, and Alliance Bank to provide RM 1 billion ringgit of green business financing to all Sarawakian SMEs to enable them to adopt sustainable business practices in environment, social, and governance, or ESG. Other than my ministry, Mintrade, there are about 60 other agencies, both federal and state government agencies, also giving their various assistance. We have formed SEDCC, Sarawak Entrepreneurs Development Coordination Committee, to ensure well-coordinated program, sharing manpower and resources as we have resources we have in whatever program we organize. The informal group, these are majority of enterprises in Sarawak, and they've been run by my good friend Dato' Abang Helmi as the chairman of Dewan Usahawan Bumi Sarawak. The informal group, since 2021, we have come up with special package, Come Register program, to create awareness and encourage them to register in situ during the program. And adoption of digital economy platform is a way of doing business and helping them to be their culture. The state government in 2020 has initiated a special program or forum, IDEC, a program introducing digital economy as a platform, not only as a way to do our business, but of more important, to ensure we will not be left behind by others, as digital will be the global culture in the future. Syukur Alhamdulillah, during last pandemic COVID-19, our entrepreneurs started, though slowly, adopting online to make order food, to make payment transaction through Sarawak Pay, Alibaba, Alipay, etc., where during the month of Ramadan in 2021, they have made 30.5 million business transactions. Thank you very much for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Datuk Haji Naruddin, for your presentation. If I were to talk about 2 key takeaways from this presentation, I would say first, the work of that Datuk Haji Naruddin talked about, it tackles 3 main challenges for entrepreneurs. One is access to finance, the second one is access to markets, and the third challenge, I would say, it's related to skills development and developing the capacity, especially in the digital sector, giving them digital skills in order to embark on their digital transformation for entrepreneurs and SMEs. And the second key takeaway, which I think it has been voiced multiple times during the conference, is in order to have meaningful and lasting transformations in our ecosystem, we need to be working on the three levels: the micro levels, which is the SMEs and the entrepreneurs; the meso level, which is the business support organizations; and the macro level, which is the governments that are designing thriving policies. So thank you so much for this presentation. Now I would like to turn to our next speaker, His Excellency Sandiaga Uno, the Minister of Tourism and Creative Economy of Indonesia. His Excellency is sharing his message through a pre-recorded video.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. Greetings from wonderful Indonesia. I am Sandiaga Salahuddin Uno, Indonesia's Minister of Tourism and Creative Economy. It is an absolute pleasure for me to be part of the 2023 Global Muslim Business Forum, discussing the innovations and transformations in Islamic communities. As an entrepreneur, I understand very well that meaningful innovations and swift transformations are crucial factors for business to thrive. The Ministry of Tourism and Creative Economy of Indonesia has always been supporting entrepreneurship through programs such as Santripreneur. We encourage, support, and facilitate Muslim students to pursue entrepreneurship of their passions with the spirits of innovations, adaptations, and collaborations. I hope Global Muslim Business Forum can connect all important stakeholders and encourage more inclusive and forward-thinking entrepreneur communities for a harmonious and prosperous world. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Excellency. With this, we move to our third speaker for today, Dato Haji Halmi Ikhwan, who is the president of Sarawak Bumiputra Entrepreneurs Chamber and the chairman of Baitul Mal Sarawak. Datu, my question for you is, could you share with us a success story of Muslim or Bumiputra entrepreneurs in Sarawak? And if you can shed the light on the factors that you believe they determine the success of those entrepreneurs and the challenges that they have faced and how they have overcome. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Ms. Joel, our moderator. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I would like to make this opportunity to share with the audience the story of the most successful Muslim Bumiputra entrepreneur in Sarawak. I gather my information from publicly available information, as well as personal interview with him in connection with this forum. The entrepreneur concerned is Dato' Amal Abdul Hamid bin Haji Spawi. I believe most of Sarawakians know him. There are a few fairly large businesses owned and operated by Muslims in Sarawak, but nevertheless, I choose Dato' Amal Abdul Hamid Spawi mainly because he is an entrepreneur for a long time with large business, and he has been operating not in Sarawak, some in Sarawak, mostly in the open competition, not only in Malaysia, but also worldwide. So because of this, he deserved to be the top entrepreneur in my opinion. He has 3 listed group of companies on the Malaysian Stock Exchange. These 3 group of companies have a total asset value of 5.5 billion ringgit. And the net profit accrued to these 3 group of companies that are controlled by him In year 2022, it managed to make a profit of, that is pre-tax profit of 650 million. This is a huge sum of profit by Sarawak standard. The first group under him is Ta'an Holdings Berhad, together with Sarawak Plantation Berhad, which are operating in the timber and plantation sector. The other company is Naim Holdings Berhad, which is operating in the property development sector. He holds controlling interests in all these three companies. Ladies and gentlemen, to start with, I give a little bit of history of him. He was actually well equipped with initial knowledge in the timber industry, having a forestry degree from Australian National University and master's degree from Oregon State University, United States of America. But of course, he was also a graduate of University of Malaya. Well, in spite of this qualification, when I asked him about what are important to make a success, he stated that while high qualification is an advantage to achieve success, it is actually something easy to find people with high qualification. Instead, what are more important in the success of a company is the core values in his partners, in board of directors, and staff that are essential to the success of the group. Three core values are highlighted in Ta'an annual report. According to him, core values are not phrases selected for the purpose of public presentation, but core values are actually something in the inner self of ourselves, of individuals that make up the group. It started with the partners who share these core values. As the company grows, these values are inculcated inside the administration of the companies. Basic in the company's core values is integrity, followed by teamwork and excellence. Once the staff are committed to high integrity, spirit of teamwork, and striving for excellence are natural things to follow. In fact, according to him, in an environment with high integrity, things like transparency and staying away from corruption are not difficult tasks to adopt. No doubt, the group takes integrity very seriously. Anybody found to lack integrity in the company is usually asked to leave the company. Another important factor to the success of the group is the vision and the mission statement. The vision, clear vision, and achievable mission statement for the group. For Ta'an, Ta'an Holding, it is to be a leading player in the timber and plantation industries. In the other company, that is the Sarawak Plantation, it is to be a fully integrated, high-performing enterprise with diversified businesses. For Naim Holding, the vision is to bring tears of joy to 1 million people and more. You may ask what it is. This is related to Naim's activities in building houses. So they want to make more than 1 million people who live in these houses to be happy with tears of joy. Well, ladies and gentlemen, now we come to the challenges to the group. company like Ta'an Holdings, in particular, has faced a few very difficult challenges in the past. Nevertheless, they managed to sail through these difficult waters. First is the marketing efforts. Ta'an started as a timber company, exporting logs and later processing timber. Starting in the 80s, global campaign against tropical timber was spearheaded by European countries, alleging Sarawak timber as being anti-environment and unsustainable. The Europeans started by creating trade barriers to imports into the European community market. Later, they even went further by coercing their banks not to maintain accounts or financial facilities to some of the Malaysian timber exporters. In the above unfriendly European market environment, Ta'an obtained sustainable forest management certification under the Malaysian Timber Certification Scheme, and they get their production units audited annually to certify complying with the conditions under the certification scheme. The bigger challenge, however, was at the production end, arising from the issue that logging of natural forests is a depleting industry. Ta'an Group realized this problem early and had strategies in countering the issue. First, Ta'an Holdings started to practice forest replanting early, and by today, it has 31% of its forest revenue come from planted forests. The balance 69% are still from natural forest. The company also decided to diversify into oil palm plantation. In order to achieve growth, this is possible by converting some forest areas into oil palm plantation. Today, palm oil contributes to 83% of the company's revenue and the balance of 17% from timber sector. Second, the challenge that the company faced in the production area, the challenge is in the work culture of the staff. Malaysia is a multiracial and multicultural country, and the work culture of the staff are often affected by the very culture of their communities. The Chinese workers generally work with good work discipline that are already important part of their own community. On the other hand, the Bumiputra Muslim community come from a background of a more relaxed community environment. It is a big challenge to get very good workers from the Bumiputra Muslim community destined for high management position, not just because of the cultural issues, but also because good candidates from the Muslim Bumiputra community prefer to work with the government where job security is better. Against this environment, management consisting of mixed race is still an ideal situation, not just in Sarawak, but also in the whole country. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Datu Haji Halmi Ikhwan, thank you very much for a very rich presentation. Lot of key takeaways, but if I were to summarize them in 2 points, I would say what you shared with us at the beginning is not only a success story, it's something that we look at as role models in the local context, and I believe that having role models to inspire the next generation of entrepreneurs and SMEs is very important in fostering a culture of entrepreneurship and innovation. And the second point, I really loved when you focused on the values. And talking about values, you've put people in the center of any business. So you talk about integrity, teamwork, passion, and persistence for excellence. And I think by that you mean that anything else can be learned or acquired, but the one important component is the people that are at the heart of the business. Thank you again for a very rich intervention. Ladies and gentlemen, we now shift our focus to youth entrepreneurship and initiatives taken by the Islamic Cooperation Youth Forum. We have also a pre-recorded intervention by Mr. Taha Ayhan, who is the president of ICYF.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed guests and fellow entrepreneurs. Assalamu alaikum and a warm welcome to all participants of the Global Muslim Business Forum. It's an honor and privilege to address you today as we explore the inspiring world of entrepreneurs' success stories in the Muslim world. I would like to begin my speech by drawing our attention to the urgent and distressing situation in Palestinian territories, marked by atrocities and occupation since October 8, 2023. The ongoing brutal operation has impacted innocent infants, toddlers, babies, children, women, and the elderly for over a century, and has resulted in more than 14,000 Palestinian deaths, including over 6,000 children and 4,000 women. As Muslim entrepreneurs, it's our commitment to support the just cause of Palestine, shed light on the hard conditions in Gaza, and stand against the reprehensible war crimes committed there by the occupation. This is not just a mission, it's a fundamental responsibility aligned with our values of faith and humanity. In our global economy, entrepreneurs are the threads that view innovation, job creation, and economic growth. They are the visionaries who identify opportunities, overcome challenges, and bring forth positive change. However, what makes their stories remarkable is not just the destination, but the journey itself. The challenges faced, the lessons learned, and the resilience displayed. In the Muslim world, entrepreneurs are not just economic contributors. They are agents of positive change, addressing societal needs and solving the pressing problems. Their endeavors extend beyond profit margins, reaching into the fabric of the communities, enriching lives and fostering sustainable development. The economic growth of leading member countries within the OIC has had a profound impact on boosting the startup landscape and ecosystem in recent years. According to the World Bank, OIC member countries collectively account for a substantial portion of the world's GDP, contributing significantly to the global economy. For instance, countries like Turkey, United Arab Emirates, and Malaysia have demonstrated impressive economic growth rates, fostering an environment conducive to entrepreneurship. Dear ladies and gentlemen, Islamic Cooperation Youth Forum, ICYF, plays a pivotal role in the development and empowerment of youth within the OIC region. Through its extensive activities and initiatives, ICYF has emerged as a driving force in promoting youth development, fostering entrepreneurship, and encouraging innovation among the youth population. One of the ICYF significant activities are its youth entrepreneurship forums, so far held in Azerbaijan, Turkey, Malaysia, Bahrain, Tatarstan, which provides a platform for young entrepreneurs from OIC member states to exchange ideas, share experiences, and access resources for their business endeavors. This initiative not only promotes the economic growth within the OIC region, but also enhances the global visibility of young Muslim entrepreneurs. At ICYF, our unwavering commitment to youth empowerment, particularly within the OIC, has been at the core of our mission. We recognize that the future belongs to the young minds who dare to dream, innovate, and create positive change in their communities and the world. And that brings us to the reason we are all here today, the startup revolution. The today's fast-paced, dynamic world, entrepreneurs plays a pivotal role in shaping the future. They embody the spirit of innovation and daring to challenge the status quo and offer groundbreaking solutions to the challenges we face. As a global community, we must not only acknowledge the importance of the startups, but also wholeheartedly support the young entrepreneurs behind them. And this is precisely where the International Incubation Center, IIC, comes into play. Nestled right here in Istanbul, IIC serves as a nurturing ground for OIC startups. It's a place where innovative ideas are refined, where young minds are provided with the resources, mentorship, and guidance they need to transform their visions into reality. It inspires young people in OIC countries to explore innovative entrepreneurial development and sharpen their abilities. We believe that the economic imbalance between developed and underdeveloped countries can be bridged through innovative entrepreneurship, and OIC youth have the motivation, capacity, and intelligence to drive this change with the right support. IIC serves as a platform for empowering young entrepreneurs, fostering their innovation, providing education, and enabling participation in the startup ecosystem. Currently, in its fourth phase, IIC supports 15 entrepreneurs from 7 different countries. In conclusion, the young entrepreneurs in Muslim countries hold the key to revitalizing local economies and triggering social change. They possess the potential to shape the destinies of their countries. By providing them with the support and opportunities they need, we can help create a brighter, more innovative and inclusive future. The future is in their capable hands, and with the right support, it promises a world that is more luminous, innovative, and inclusive. Thank you for your attention, and I wish you fruitful discussions and collaborative endeavors at the Global Muslim Business Forum 2023. Together, we can inspire a future where innovation knows no bounds. I hope and pray Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for us to see the brighter day in Gaza will come soon, and I hope that inshallah at the soon we will see a free Palestine. Thank you very much. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you, Mr. Ayhan, the president of the Islamic Cooperation Youth Forum. Actually, I'd like to repeat what he said in the video, that the last 2 days are a startup revolution. And I think the best way forward is to foster innovation and to provide opportunities for young entrepreneurs. And he talked about 2 interesting channels. First of one is education, and the second is mentorship. And I feel that these are very important key takeaways from his intervention. With this, I move to our 5th speaker for today, Dr. Mohammed Ghazali, the Secretary General of World Zakat and Waqf Forum. Dr. Ghazali, we talked about access to finance as not only a challenge in Muslim economy, but also as in the global economy. So I'd like to know from you the role that Islamic finance is playing in developing the global Muslim economy, as well as if there are any specific trends and developments that you find promising and you would like to bring to our attention. The floor is yours.
The slide is one, the green. You press the green.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much, Madam Moderator. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm honored to be together with you. I know we are at a difficult time because you are going to begin your food. Now, let's look at the map, the context what we are. I come from an organization that transforms and transposes the world. So we are now in the business of looking how the world is changing. As you look into the map, the red countries are those who are major powers guiding the new powers, and they're being accompanied by new possible members of the third world. So you have a hope, because the rise of the old empire, together with Africa, Asia, will change the power of the world of tomorrow. That's where we are coming. Now, do we have stories of success in the Muslim world? Let's just look at this gentleman. The first gentleman is from Egypt. His name is Brother Salah Atia. He's an interesting gentleman. He is a multi-billionaire, and when he died, 1 million mourners mourned his death. Why? Because he started his business along the line of Waqf, and he served the community, the women, and the poor. And he gave, starting in the business profit, 10% dedicated to the cause of Allah. And when he moves up, he gave 100% of the profit to the business of Allah. As you say, when you do business with Allah, we will not lose in life. That's the first gentleman from Egypt. The second gentleman is back home. Is none other our young gentleman, Tan Sri Mukhtar al-Bukhari. He is a gentleman who rides through the mail, and he is a conglomerate builder. He has a wealth of 1.5 billion US dollars, but he is both an entrepreneur of many holdings as well as a philanthropy to many charities that we all know. The third gentleman is our friend who is Tan Sri Wan Azmi Wan Amza. Many of you are not here, but those of my elders in this panel would know who is him during the administration of Tun Mahathir Mohamad. And he is also a builder of success. The third one I like to present to you is a young man coming from your state. He is a surprise announcement. He is none other than Datuk Haji Abang Muhammad Sibli bin Haji Abang Muhammad Naili. His chairman is here, who just spoke. But why do I pick him up? I have been associated with the World of Islamic Development Bank since 1996. It's over more than 30 years. I have been integrated with Wakaf and Zakat for the last 14 years. In my interaction with him and my visit to Baitumal Sarawak, it is a living example how entrepreneurship of Wakaf and Zakat have been demonstrated in the state of Sarawak. Many of you may have not known, but today we must celebrate the success of this young gentleman, because in my definition, entrepreneurial leadership is not necessarily business. It is executive entrepreneurship. And what he has done, he has transformed the institution from the asset accumulation of the wealth of the Muslim in Sarawak to building assets of the institutions in the 4 major towns of Sarawak. For those, and you are welcome to visit his office, which I did yesterday to have an update. My dear friends, another point for all of us to know is this. I am a futurist too. We are not here doing business pitching, but this is to show to you that the business of Wakaf and Zakat can become the next potential unicorn by Muslim-led entrepreneurs. We have just launched this Gold Barakah at the World Zakat and Wakaf Conference 2023 in the state of Kedah last October, and it has been launched officially by the Minister, Datuk Sri Nancy Shukri. And this is interesting because it's an evolution in social assistance, the way we are talking about. But more importantly, how do we achieve the concern of governance, innovation, distribution, and monitoring of the new sector in order to solve the unbridled capitalism system where we take care of the needs of the poor, the needy, and the served, and the underserved. And this model is for all of us to understand we would have an answer to that in modern technology. Yesterday I spoke to you why it's necessary to put back the legacy of our institution. Both Zakat, Madam Moderator, have been left in the backyard of history. Today I bring for you why Islamic finance entrepreneurship has a growing importance for all Muslims in this room and those of similar reasoning. For example, the one is Islamic finance entrepreneurship. First principle is risk-sharing principle. Islamic finance emphasizes risk sharing and avoid speculative transactions. And this aligns very well with the new entrepreneurial venture where risk-seeking is inherent. Second, Islam asks you for asset-based financing. We do not have assets that are not tied to tangible assets, and therefore they provide entrepreneurs with more secure and ethical financing options. Third, today we are interested how Sharia-compliant investment through Islamic banking fosters such investment, promoting ethical financing and socially, morally accountable entrepreneurship. That is the first component. Now let's go to the role of Zakat. Today, many of you will know we have been mandated to give 2.5% in the Quran to the poor. Therefore, for the last 1,446 years, the Quran has spoken about the SDG long time before all of you know. Today, we are not inventing the wheel. We are bringing back the divine mandate which you have a responsibility to the poor. And what is that about? Socially responsible funding. Zakat has the pillar of 5 pillars, involved giving a portion of one's wealth, and it has been mandated to all of us. Another one is microfinance and small business. Today, we make a matter of zakat, business of collection and distribution. I was talking to my dear brother that today we will make zakat an economic empowerment. Why? Because the zakat must be empowered, must be dynamic, and must be a dynamo in the society. No longer are we interested to be just spending the money for the year, but we must venture today. There is a long gestation period of moving even the fate of the poor in any country for the matter. Therefore, we must relook at the fixed jurisprudence of how Waqf and Zakat being implemented around the Muslim world. Now, where is microfinance and small business report? Zakat fund can be rededicated to ensure that the Muslim has a stake in the modern economy, whether in urban society, among the single mothers, or even the poor. In the recent COVID calamity, we have seen how the poor have been further disadvantaged. Today, I give you a very simple example. We can buy handphones for the poor children. When we invented that please study at your home, the poor are obliquely updated from not only the calamity of COVID, but they themselves cannot live, neither they can study. This is a very simple project. Next, economic empowerment. Zakat today must be now an engine of growth. How? We support startups, businesses through zakat, and therefore there is a ground for economic empowerment, job creation, poverty relation within Muslim nations and the communities. Now let's go to Waqf, my favorite habit. Today we have known in the civilization of Islam, 9 civilizations were empowered by the Adin. Today, for a fact, zakat did not produce any civilization. Today, you are asked to give part of the wealth. And those who read the Quran in Al-Baqarah, first 5 sentences, the last KPI of Allah, to those who are God-conscious, give a portion of wealth to mankind. That is why the virtuous generations of yesterday could build 9 civilizations. It is not today a matter of yesterday. Prevention is a necessary transformation of the Muslim today in this room and the rest of the world to undertake what has been mandated to the prophets and all those virtuous Muslims who believe in it. Now, where do we go? Today, the Muslim needs new infrastructure development. So Waqf must go in this era of digital economy, more so being a global mapping, which I spoke yesterday. It is necessary for Muslims today to design the Waqf mapping of the world for the next 100 years. Why? Because yesterday was the 100 years and the fall of the Ottoman. Today we must rise again to design. And that's what China did when they became a great power. In 1976, for those who read history, Xi Jinping called for the global consultants who built what China should be. And this is what they had. They had a grand strategy. We need that for today. Next, education and training is very important because that is fundamental. We must revisit the sciences of yesterday, but we must reintroduce new sciences, new knowledge, or lost knowledge that today we find our modern men have no sense of history, neither philosophy. This morning, our dear brother was talking about civism. Civism today gives you a sense of your relation with the Creator and mankind, and from there you are empowered to be a great gentleman of the future. Next, what does zakat and Waqf do? You have to know global collaboration. Today, cross-border investment is necessary. Islamic finance, through the Islamic Development Bank and the Malaysian government, has set up the Islamic finance and banking industry for the last 50 years. But that time has arrived for Waqf and zakat to be another part of the global economy, because that was the secret that built civilization of yesterday. Now, where is the international platform? I must congratulate my brother Tan Sri from Asli and Dr. Iqbal for having such a platform, because it's a necessary platform where nations, communities, families, entrepreneurs have a platform to speak. Just as you see the WEF and the other international relations, Muslims must rise to have a platform of common mission, common vision, common dedication, common resources, common end, because we got two worlds to serve, this world and the next world. Next, we have to understand where is our technological integration. Today, what they said today, we are no longer in the world of distance, the world of time of yesterday. Today is the cosmic design, where Allah says time is His creation. Today He shows time is much more cosmic, and we see time has been reduced. And therefore, financial solutions, integrating the Muslim in all sectors of the industry, from the womb to tomb, is necessary. Today we must invent not only fintech, we must invent zakat tech, we must invent wakaf tech, and all other technologies. They make the Makasib Sharia a real institution that serves Muslims of tomorrow and next generation. Because I must remind you that the third caliph, Sayyidina Umar, said, prepare your children in their time, not yesterday. Therefore, you come here today with a mission preparing the next generation and beyond. Last, the question of using blockchain and smart contracts, these are necessary new innovations which will help us in the sense of government, transparency, and accountability. Finally, my dear colleagues, is that where does the government come in? In Malaysia today and around the world, or international agreement, the role of the government is necessary to become the seeder and the government of last resort to help things happen. And we always finance the FDIs. The time has to come today, the government of the country and the world to give similar treatment to Islam. Financial economy has an engine of growth that took care of those of the 25% of the world's population today. Islamic financial institutions today must become no longer just a commercial institution. They must be strategic institutions. They took development mandate, combining the needs of tomorrow and the past and remedying the present calamity for them to engage in financial entrepreneurial ventures that can significantly change our ecosystem, prepare the superstructure and the architecture why zakat wakaf can become, and the institution of sadaqah, and the institution hibah, and ikon infaq to become a dynamic system that helps those who have done before. Madam Chair, Moderator, my members of the panel, in summary, the evaluation of Islamic finance today to support entrepreneurship involves a combination of one, ethical financing principles, second, philosophic instruments like zakat and wakaf, technological integration, and collaboration at both and local levels. This holistic approach requires and to foster a spiritual-based economic development, innovation, and social accountability and duty to humanity within the global Muslim community, and more so together with the world and humanity in kind. I thank you for your kind intention. I hope they will understand why zakat and wakaf must become central or mainstream to the world today and even in the government of Malaysia. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Datuk Dr. Muhammad Ghazali. Just it's because we're running short on time, I would like to take a moment to comment on your your last slide, which was about unicorn founders. And interestingly, just a month ago, Endeavor.org released a study about unicorn founders. And they defined them as entrepreneurs whose companies reach a $1 billion valuation. And there was a very interesting conclusion in this study, saying that, observation actually, before a conclusion, saying that emerging market founders, they reach unicorn status much faster than their counterparts in other countries such as US. And they attributed that conclusion to the fact that emerging market founders, they solve real-world problems that are able to scale. And I think this has been very well captured in your last slide when you talked about ESG, the accountability, the traceability, and so on and so forth. Thank you so much again for your presentation. You've also touched upon science and technology, and that's I'm going to take this opportunity to move to our sixth speaker for today, Dr. Wael Bidda, who is the founding director of the Entrepreneurship Center of Arab Academy for Science in Egypt. Hi, Dr. Wael. My question for you is, what are the problems faced in the Arab region that could be solved by science and technology? And if you can share examples of success stories that have emerged from your Center of Entrepreneurship. The floor is yours.
Yes, thank you. Can I?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum. So yes, Dr. Ghazali, it's lunchtime, so I guess I'm very excited to be in this panel, and thank you, many thanks for the moderator for this introduction. I want to share some stories from the MENA region, from the startup ecosystem in the MENA region in Egypt and in the Arab world in general. But in the beginning, let me give you a quick introduction about where I come from. The Arab Academy for Science, Technology, and Maritime Transport, an Arab League organization where we have 7 branches in Egypt and in the region as well. And we've started the Entrepreneurship Center 10 years ago, where we have many programs disrupting different industries in the MENA region. So one of our key programs that we're really proud of is our supply chain accelerator. This is the first accelerator focused on logistics and supply chain. And this industry is one of the most attractive industries to VC funds in the MENA region for the last 5 years, where we have many success stories in this program. The last one is finalizing an investment round of $1.5 million from an Egyptian VC fund and a Saudi-based family office, where we have many startups in last mile delivery, warehousing, shipping, procurement, fleet management, and this is one of the key verticals that is important for any economy. We also have another tech acceleration program, Rally Accelerate, where it's an internationalization program where we send our startups to many countries so they can open new channels. So I just came from Berlin, from Germany, where we had the chance to send several startups to the German and European ecosystem. And we also, 2 months ago, we sent 10 startups to Saudi Arabia for investment and business linkages in general. We also have a program focused on tourism startups, and usually tourism is not a startup-friendly ecosystem. That's why we focus on tourism startups, and we're trying to build a sandbox with the Egyptian government to support those companies, because tourism is usually penetrated and dominated by big corporations, not startups. That's why we're trying to support the tech-based companies work in tourism. We also have a program in agribusiness, and Goodwill Incubator is one of the most exciting programs that we work on. It's a program for people with disability, founders who has a kind of disability. And I'll tell you a success story from this incubator. In the beginning, when we started this program, we thought that we will never have such a distinguished kind of founders with disability, but we were surprised. One of the founders, he's visually impaired, since we were talking about success stories from the region, visually impaired, and he's 35-year-old now, and he was born completely blind, visually impaired. And he was upset because the banking system does not allow visually impaired people to use their, or to have direct access to their bank account, and they have to have someone else with them to facilitate access to the banking industry. So he developed a fintech solution proposed to the Central Bank of Egypt that is user-friendly for the visually impaired individuals. And the interesting part is, he developed the software himself. He is a programmer, he is a coder, and he's visually impaired, he cannot see. And he's a PhD holder. So when anyone else comes to us and he says that, I'm busy, I don't have time, I don't have enough skills and capacity to do business, we tell him, come on, you must see and learn how real fighters can do business. We have an online platform for entrepreneurship, and the rally competition is one of our main programs. It's a regional competition in entrepreneurship where we bring an entrepreneur from all over the Arab region. It started in Bahrain 2019, where we had 18 participants from 18 different countries. And last year it was in Dubai Expo 2022, where we had 20 participants from 20 different countries, including Somalia. So since we're talking about a success story, the Somalian participant or entrepreneur couldn't come to Bahrain because of visa issues. She couldn't make it, and they don't have embassy, Bahrain embassy in Somalia. But what's interesting is one of the attendants, he was heading the Chamber of Commerce in UAE, and he was impressed with all the participants, so he decided to give out $100,000 to everyone, to all the participants. So she received a part of the award in Somalia. She couldn't even come to Bahrain, but she could get a part of the award. Last year, Forbes 30 under 30, top 30 founders under 30-year-old in the Arab world, 2 of them are our alumni. This was 2022. 2023, this year, just announced this month, a week ago, 2 of them are our Egyptians, alumni from our accelerator as well. We also have a full ecosystem focused on students because we believe younger generations are the future of entrepreneurship and startups. So we have an incubator, competition, student society, education, an integrated ecosystem to build the capacity of young entrepreneurs and of our students. This program is one of the most exciting programs, Ripple program. It's a program for entrepreneurship center directors and incubator managers, because we've been facing a lot of challenges the last 10 years to build our program and capacity and sustainability plan, and running such a program that is really helpful for the startups, not only a checklist of things to do. So together with several international partners from United States, from Germany, from Indonesia, from the Arab region, now we have 30 entrepreneurship centers are joining this program from Egypt, and we're replicating the model in Saudi Arabia. And we have a summit in July in Egypt next year, July 2024, focused on entrepreneurship centers, incubators, and accelerators. It would be a great opportunity if we have strong contribution from the Muslim world, from Asia, from Malaysia, from Indonesia. It would be such a great opportunity. Peer-to-peer learning, the best practices, how to run incubators, accelerators, and how to manage entrepreneurship centers in general. Back to your question related to some highlights in the MENA region. VC funds in the MENA region last year, 2022, was $4 billion US dollars, and the top 3 countries were UAE, Saudi Arabia, and Egypt. Almost those 3 countries received VC funds of $2.5 billion out of the $4 billion. This was last year, 2022. But actually, after the COVID, the startup ecosystem has been suffering globally, not only in the MENA region, not only in Egypt, but worldwide, during the risk appetite of VCs and the long duration or long-term investment of the VC funds. So this led to capital crunch, where VC funds had to tighten their budgets and were becoming more picky, and the decision is taking much more time. So they are not only looking at, as they used to, looking at scale-up companies and exponential growing companies. Now they are looking at bottom line, profitability. So they are looking at different, or evaluating the companies from different perspectives than they used to assess it. This also led to more exits. So many companies in the MENA region started to exit and to be acquired by multinational companies. And this also led to debt financing. And this is a major opportunity for Islamic financing and Islamic banking and Islamic products that are suitable to startups in general. The last thing is the digital transformation that's happening in the MENA region. So we have everything is digitally disrupted. All the industries, the payment industry, InstaPay, you can transfer anything from any account to any mobile wallet in 1 second. InstaShop, Visita, you can go to doctor or get a doctor to your home in 30 minutes. Through a mobile app. You can buy furniture from HomeSmart, and you can order grocery in 20 minutes that comes to your home through Rabbit. I'll tell you a story about Rabbit. It happened 2 months ago. I was at home with my kid, and he woke up 4 a.m. in the morning. He was crying. He's 2-year-old, and he wanted milk. And I realized that there was no milk. So I ordered from Rabbit 2 cartons of milk, and it was delivered to my home in 20 minutes. This was 4 a.m. in the morning. So can you imagine 20 minutes delivery, 4 a.m. in the morning? So this is how digitally disrupted our markets are. I don't want to take the lunchtime, and I'll be very happy to see you in the Ripple Summit in July in Egypt. And thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Bedda. I believe the highlight of this presentation is sharing the story of the resilient entrepreneur and how he overcame the disability he has. And on this point, I'd like to just share with you one insight. And if we can look at innovation and technology as a continuum, at the beginning of this spectrum, we look at everything that is digital. And by that, we mean these are entrepreneurs that are providing products or services or even improving systems by leveraging digital technologies. So we're looking at mobile apps, we're looking at social media, we're looking at e-commerce websites. And if we move to the right side of the spectrum, we get to deep technology. And these are technologies that require a lot of innovations and time. And they are the type of transformations that tackle real-world problems. So if you want to move the needle on education, on climate, on energy, on financial inclusion, with the example that you gave us, Dr. Bedda, we need to be working on this side of technologies, and we need to produce this type of innovations. And these are particularly innovations that can scale. And since we're talking about the Muslim economy and the different countries that are involved, I think we can be the ones initiating these types of transformations to the rest of the economy. Thank you so much again. With this intervention, I'd like to move to Andrew Davis, our 7th speaker for today. Andrew is the professor of public religion at School of Philosophy, Theology, and Religion at the University of Birmingham. Professor, we've gained a lot of insights from our esteemed speakers on the external challenges that face entrepreneurs throughout their entrepreneurial journey. So with you now, I'd like to delve and dig deeper into the internal dynamics, especially when it comes to their mindset. So in order to set the scene for our audience, maybe you can walk us through how the intersection of religion, policy, and culture can influence the entrepreneurial mindset.
Thanks so much, Joelle. And yeah, it's been great to engage with this conversation and learn so much of the wonderful stuff that's going on throughout the world. My particular interest really is in social entrepreneurship and the need to step up and make a difference in the world. And I think most of us would agree, with some notable exceptions, including Malaysia, I'm delighted to say, we have such a dearth of leadership, certainly in the West, certainly in Europe. I think people are crying out for leadership that has integrity, that has honesty, that has transparency. They're looking for people to step up to the mark in terms of politics, in terms of business, in terms of all spheres of life. And I think the trick that we are missing, which the Honourable Prime Minister of Malaysia highlighted the other night as well, is that faith is a wonderful inspiration for people to get involved in these kind of things. Our faith values, I happen to be a Christian, I'm not a Muslim myself, but we share so many values and so many priorities that are so important to us. Things like love, truth, mercy, justice, a commitment to making the world a better place is really central to our faith values. And what we want to do is try and make pathways for people who are inspired and motivated by those really significant values to get them into public life, whether that's in kind of the social sector, whether it's in commerce, whether it's in political life, whatever opportunities there are to build those pathways. That's, I think, something that's really important for us to do. Because I think there's never been a harder time to be involved in public life than today. People a generation ago didn't have the pressures of social media, they didn't have the complexity that we have to deal with, and for all the wonderful things that the digital sphere brings to us, so many advantages we've heard about today, it also puts incredible pressure on people to respond to that and to stay on top of everything. And in the midst of everything that's gone on in my world, speaking as an individual the last couple of years, my faith and values have been the thing that have propelled me through that and sustained me through it. And I'm sure many of us in this room today could testify to the same. So encouraging people who are inspired by their values to step up to the mark. For me, in a one-sentence definition, leadership is about taking responsibility. And I think the inspirational values of our faith encourage us to step up and take that responsibility in ways that nothing else could.
Thank you. Actually, for the last couple of years, there has been a big focus on mental health being part of the entrepreneurial journey. So can you just let me know what are your thoughts, your quick thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think faith has so much to bring in that, and it's been commercialized quite effectively. There's a bit of religious entrepreneurship going on there in terms of yoga and Reiki and many of those things that have been, in the kind of Western world at least, secularized and developed into kind of well-being approaches more than religious roots. But I think, again, just having an anchoring in something beyond ourselves is so important for us, isn't it? Realizing that actually, if I mess up, if the business doesn't kind of go as well as I hoped it would do, if my latest book doesn't sell as quickly as I was expecting it to, it's okay. God is in control. God kind of holds the threads of human history. And I think that's a wonderful consolation for us all, really, whatever's going on in our lives, to be able to trust in that. I think prayer and other forms of spiritual expression are remarkable sources of support and strength for us. And I think these are things that the business community is not often comfortable about talking about, especially in the West. I've been working with colleagues in India, particularly for the last 2 or 3 years, and learned so much from their holistic approach to spirituality, that religion isn't something you keep away. And in the UK, very much the thinking is, well, you can be a Christian if you want to, but be a Christian on Sunday and kind of don't worry about Monday to Friday. It's no wonder that puts incredible pressure on people. It's no use saying to them, oh, well, bring your whole self to work, tell people at work everything about what you do, apart from religion, right? For a Muslim, your faith inspires and shapes and motivates pretty much everything you do all day, from what time you wake up, the first words you say, the people you talk to, the places you go to. And that needs to be recognized, the importance that our faith brings to us, the security and the confidence and the resilience that it brings to us. We could do so much more with, I think.
Thank you. Yes. My last part of the question would be, do you have any examples that you can share with us, going back to the nexus of religion, culture, and policy, that you can share with us based on your work at the university with entrepreneurs?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Global One, for starters, one of the sponsoring organizations of the conference. Some remarkable work that they've done, led by Muslim women in the UK, especially Dr. Husna. But they've done some remarkable work in that sort of space. I've been working more recently with an organization called Girl Dreamer in Birmingham in the UK. If you've never been to the UK governments and from the British government to support young women who are underrepresented in social entrepreneurship and are underrepresented in leadership opportunities. I was in Dubai just a couple of weeks back talking to a major organization that told me out of its 18,000 staff, only 20% of them were women. And there were very social explanations for that, but they were very keen to try and address that, and that's one of the priorities that I think we need to work on. It's been fantastic to kind of spend time listening to this wonderful panel this morning, but I would like to hear more voices from women as well. Women's voices need to be heard more prominently. They've got so much to bring to the table as well. And there's a session on this afternoon on that. And Kieran and Amna, my friends at Girl Dreamer, are doing some amazing work on that. One final example, if I've got a moment, is a student of mine who is an imam, who is a prison chaplain. Islam in British prisons is growing incredibly rapidly, and that puts all kinds of pressures and stresses on him pastorally in terms of caring for the prisoners. But during the pandemic, he launched at his particular prison a media center and works with the prisoners to train them in television. They've now got kind of a faith TV program that goes out across the prison pretty much every day, I think, just for half an hour, gives them opportunity to pray together and talk about their religion, which has been incredible comfort to the prisoners. But I think that's a remarkable example of social entrepreneurship in a way that doesn't bring in any money at all, but has had massive positive impact on some of those prisoners. So there's lots of work going on throughout the world along those lines.
Thank you very much for the inspiring success stories. I'd like to comment on the one related to women empowerment. And I would quote the World Bank saying that countries cannot move forward if half of their citizens are held back. And when we talk about women economic empowerment, we're not only talking about gender equality, we're talking about empowering women because they are able to create impact in their children's lives, in their families, and their communities as well. So the impact goes beyond just the person themselves.
Absolutely. And there's some research from Harvard Business School that suggests the simple fact of having a woman's voice on a board of an organization will have the effect of increasing the turnover of that organization by 10%. And if it's two women, then it's more than 10% each. It rises to about 30%. So recognizing women's voices in entrepreneurship of all kinds is absolutely crucial, I think.
Absolutely, and I couldn't agree more. Yeah. All right, we're running a bit late. So last but not least, we have a final recorded intervention by Mr. Maher Frizzly, the Director General, Head of Research World Pensions Council, and the Chair of the EU ASEAN Center and Singapore Economic Forum.
Good morning. We are delighted to have with us today at the GMB Forum Maher Nicholas Thursday of the Singapore Pension Forum and Christopher Smith of the City of Westminster. Sadly, we hear the drums of war all over the world these days. People calling for revenge, bloodshed, and more war. But you guys take the opposite view. You seem to be still optimistic about the future. Why so?
We're delighted to join you guys today at the GMB Forum. Of course, we'd like to thank notably Sharifa Hamza of the World Association of Public-Private Partnerships and the organizers of the GMB Forum for having extended their kind invitation for us to join you today. Thank you, Lorenzo, for your question. It's a very difficult question. And you're right. You're right, there is cause for concern. And you are also right. When you turn on the television today in Washington, D.C., Paris, London, it's all bleak and doom. And sadly, some journalists and some so-called thought leaders are preaching the gospel of war. It's as if, they wanted to see more bloodshed and more hatred on both sides, a new crusade against the Easterners, or what have you. And that kind of, Manichaean, to use a French Greek word, that kind of Manichaean, simplistic discourse, us versus them, You are either with us or against us. Cowboys against Indians. That's very dangerous, because that kind of primitive, simplistic discourse is really planting the seeds of hatred for future wars, pitting Asia, Asians, Middle Easterners against the so-called West. That's very dangerous, and I personally reject that. And to come back to your question, I really believe, I sincerely believe that another way forward exists. There is another way, there is another potential path for the future. And what is it? It is increased economic and financial cooperation. I think it's possible, and I think it's the best way forward. We in the West, we in Western Europe and North America, we can build stronger relationships with our brothers and sisters in the Asia-Pacific area and the Arabian Gulf. Building bridges, what does it mean? It's not only cultural bridges, it's also investing more, cross-fertilizing our economies, which is really mutually beneficial. It's really, by investing in joint ventures, you meet as a businessman from France or Germany or Britain, by investing in a joint venture in Vietnam or in Jordan or in Egypt, you will meet local Muslim, Arabian, Asian CEOs and CFOs, and you will get to know them and know their culture, and they will get to know you and know your culture. And in the long term, I think this is the best protection against war and hatred, building bridges. So I'm a real long-term optimist from that perspective.
I think it's a great question that you asked, Lorenzo, and we believe that mutual cooperation, mutual friendship, and mutual financial integration is the way to have synergy. That synergy will create something that's so positive in the world that it'll absolutely reduce the inevitability, if you go the other way, the inevitability of war, the inevitability of conflict, and the inevitability of bloodshed. So we think that investing in countries like Malaysia will actually do something great for Malaysia. It'll do something good for us in the pension world. It will do something really good for the world as a whole.
Absolutely. 100%. I agree with you.
I get you. It's all fair and commonsensical. But concretely, financially, what is the material interest for cash-rich pension funds from, say, London or Montreal? What do they have to gain by investing in private equity in Malaysia or Saudi Arabia?
That's a very good question, Lorenzo, and also a difficult one. But I would answer it in just one word: growth. And to be precise, future growth. And why am I insisting on future growth? Because at the end of the day, venture capital, private equity, bonds, stocks, infrastructure asset, whatever the asset class, whichever the geography, no matter if you're investing in Belgian equity or Italian small caps or Vietnamese venture capital funds, it doesn't matter. What's driving the future value of your investment is the future expected growth. This is how we value assets, using modern financial tools, and to a large extent, these tools were invented by Ben Graham, who was an Anglo-American economist and financier, and who came up with these modern discounting future cash flows. How do you discount future cash flows, which determine the present value today of your investment? Well, to a large extent, it's determined on future growth. So if you are selling coffee beans, if you're selling Belgian chocolate bars to a market, any market in the world, you want to have more consumers in the future. And the only way to have more clients in the future is for their economies to grow. So as an American, as a Belgian chocolate maker, you want the people in the Middle East, in Africa, and Asia to become richer, because they will buy more chocolate bars or more, Italian coffee from you. as an example. And to give you another example, to answer your question, Lorenzo, let's go back, 20 years in time. So let's take the year 2000, for example. So back in the year 2000, if you took of the whole of what we call the Asia-Pacific area, all of Asia, including the Middle East, including Australia and New Zealand, 20 years ago in the year 2000, they represented overall the size, the combined size of their economy stood at roughly $9 trillion, $9 trillion US dollars, which back then represented 23% of the world economy. Fast forward today, in the year 2023, 20 years later, today the size of the Asia-Pacific economy stands at roughly $40 trillion, which represents 40% of the world economy, 40% of the world's GDP. So the growth is amazing, but guess what? Future growth in the next 15, 20 years in the Middle East, the Arabian Gulf, and the Asia-Pacific area, future growth dynamics is expected to be even stronger. So clearly, if you are a large pension fund in Vancouver, Washington, D.C., San Francisco, and you're looking at the world as your playground, because you're a global investor, of course, you want to put more chips in the Middle East, in Vietnam, in Indonesia, Malaysia, and Australia, because these chips that you're putting there in the next 10, 20 years will reward you handsomely in terms of economic growth and therefore future financial returns.
So, yeah, what does it mean? What does it mean for us as pension funds? We are long-term investors. We don't invest for a year, we don't invest for 2 years. Our pensioners will be working for 40 years before they take their pension. And so growth is really important so that when we get to the end of that period, there is enough money to pay the pensioners and probably have further money for people coming in the future. What does it mean for the people of Malaysia, for Saudi Arabia? We are going to be helping them grow their economy. We are going to be helping them do something that's quite amazing in the world at the moment. We are talking about environment, social and governance. And the environment, as we all know, has suffered, even in this year, unbelievable fires, floods. We've seen hurricanes starting earlier, bigger, and we need to be able to control what is happening in the world. And one of the ways we can help do that is by ensuring that when we invest in those long-term investments, such as infrastructure, we ensure that the environmental, social and governance is already in place. So it is really of the interest, not of the pension fund alone, but of the people where we invest, but of the rest of the world as well. Because islands will not be growing higher. When the floods start coming, those islands will be getting underwater. So we need to do with the money that we have invested something very positive for the world, as well as the returns for those pension funds for the investors.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And to go back to Lorenzo's question, and I fully agree with each and every word which Chris Smith just pronounced. And I will add this. We only have one Mother Earth. And we only have one humanity. We're all interconnected. It's one more reason why that racist, xenophobic discourse we hear amongst right-wing politicians and cynical politicians in North America or parts of Europe, that silly, xenophobic discourse is really stupid. Beyond the fact that it's morally reprehensible, it is silly because our economies are interconnected. And our ecosystem is one and the same. So it's in our interest, we in Western Europe and North America, to see the economies of Jordan, Saudi Arabia, Vietnam, Malaysia, Africa. It's in our own selfish interest to see them grow their economies. I'll give you a concrete example, global warming. We complain about global warming, etc. It's true, it's a fact. But if we invest more in the Asia-Pacific area, FDI, foreign direct investment. So if there are more retirement schemes, pension funds, sovereign funds, asset management companies putting more money into Asia and Africa and the Middle East, guess what? The local industrialists in the Asia-Pacific area, they will build more modern power plants. They will build faster, cleaner railways and rail tracks. They will build more modern factories. They will use less fossil fuels. They will use, in India, Pakistan, less carbon, because they will be using and upgrading and modernizing the industrial infrastructure. And globally, overall, the world over, carbon emissions will go down. So the climate change risk to us in Brittany, to us in Ireland, to us in New York City, Staten Island, the risk of flooding will go down. And so this is one of the benefits of having a more integrated, more friendly, peaceful economic cooperation between East and West. I think we will all benefit from it. So if you will, Lorenzo, my message here today at the forum is really that, is a message of cautious optimism. Another path is possible once again, and that way forward is good for their children in the Asia-Pacific area and Africa, but it's also good for us, for our own children here in Brussels, Paris, and New York.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Nick and Chris, for your replies and explanations. Thank you again.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your attention. We are not going to hold you any longer, and we are going to set you free for lunch. So for any questions for our speakers, please feel free to reach out to them directly. But before we leave, please give my speakers a big, big round of applause. Thank you, Datuk Haji Naruddin.